The mainstream media, for the most part, is an absolute joke when it comes to the topic of UFOs. I challenge the mainstream media to do some serious investigative reporting. Serious investigative reporting. Not this sitting there, your anchors sitting there tongue in cheek every time the subject of UFOs and extraterrestrials is broached. You know, do some research. There are many books. There's been research already done for you. It's been done for you. Okay, there's tons of books out there. Okay, Roswell, the Roswell incident. Guess what? Guess what? In mainstream media, it's real. It really happened. That whole bull crap explanation from the Air Force back in the 90s. Guess what? That was a gigantic lie. Okay, let me. There's a book here. It's written by Thomas Carey and Donald Schmidt called Roswell: The Ultimate Cold Case Closed. It came out in 2020. This was just one of numerous books, but this is the latest one. Read that book. Read that book. You'll see all the testimony, all the all these people that were interviewed over time, over years. Many of them are dead now, right? But a lot of these people, there was a sealed affidavit uh, from somebody that was involved in there that tells you exactly what it is. And you guys just you don't do any investigation into this stuff. You take the word of the government and we just move on. It's just like it's almost like you're writing the press releases yourselves. That's all you do. That's all you do. Okay. Another book, two other books. You want to get a historical context for all of this. There's two books I highly recommend: UFOs and the National Security State, Volume 1 and Volume 2, both written by Richard M. Dolan, an historian. Okay. Your work's already done for you right there. That will give you get you up to speed somewhat. I mean, there's a lot of other things out there you could look into, but read those books and tell me after you read that, after you walk away, that there's nothing going on for all these decades. There's something going on, and you guys just sit back and act like it's a joke. Okay, the subject came up on Friday during the White House press conference, and Jen Psaki, you know, she makes a comment. Oh, the White House press secretary. Yeah, it's always a little wacky on Fridays. It's always wacky. Always this stigma, that's just ongoing stigma that people create for people who know what's going on. I know what's going on. I've seen one of these things in 1994, and there's no way it was made by humans. It was just way too far advanced for 1994, and quite frankly, for 2021, it was just too far advanced. I challenge the media to take your damn uh, tongue out of your cheek for once and treat this seriously, not sit there with a smirk on your face and laugh about it. It's not something to sit there and laugh about. This is a serious subject. The government, there's a faction within the government that's kept this top secret since 1947. As crazy as that might sound to you right now, from somebody just sitting there out in the ether, just spewing these words, right? As crazy as that might sound to you, I can tell you, it is true. It is true. I've researched this for years. Okay. I've seen one of these things. I've seen one of these objects. It's real. It's been real, and you're still treating it as a joke. And the Pentagon, from all reports, it looks like they're going to come out with a report, but they're going to say, they're going to say, well, there's no proof that it's aliens, right? And then really the headline of this whole story should be, but we're not ruling them out either. Okay, but that's how the articles have been getting written. The last, I see articles in the New York Times, CNN has articles. Okay, everybody has all these articles. The headline is, "There's no proof that it's aliens." And then later on in the story, when you read the story, but we're not ruling it out. We're not ruling it out either. That's the headline. They're not ruling it out. They're trying to pull the lid off here a little bit, and you guys just, who are you taking your marching orders from anyhow? Seriously, what kind of idiots are the editors in charge here? What kind of stupid morons are running the show for these new mainstream news organizations? What kind of dopes are you guys? Seriously. It's all about the politics. Let's focus on the politics. Get people riled up on both sides. This is a situation right here where both sides, I think, could agree on. They want the lid off this thing. They're tired of the lies. Okay, maybe back in 1947, that might not have been a good time, you know, to to for disclosure. I mean, I don't think people weren't ready for something like that back then. I'm sure, and there was probably other reasons too with regard to national security. But hey, that's 74 years ago, man. 74 years ago. It's time to show people the truth. It's time to come out with this. It's time to stop playing this game. It's a game. People like me, I know. There's a lot of people like me who know. And it's just sickening. It's sickening. You know, you're withhold you're stopping history. You're preventing history from moving forward. I mean, history was made 74 years ago. History was made, and that historical fact is being covered up. And we got to listen to these dumb skeptics who sit there as armchair theorists, and they blurt out stupid hypotheses that make absolute no sense and have no basis in reality. All the interviews that people go to astrophysicists, astronomers, ask them questions and get stupid answers. They get stupid. They're not experts on extraterrestrials and aliens. They're people that sit there and study the stars. That doesn't make them extraterrestrial experts. I know that there has to be some, though. There are some of us here who know that there are some experts that actually have access to actual physical data from dead aliens, and and also crashed and recovered whatever flying saucers slash extraterrestrial spacecraft, whatever. I know that that stuff exists. Okay. So there has to be some people that, are studying this. There has to be. But you're withholding history. You're withholding some news that's been going on for a long time now. There's been, over the years, all the abduction cases, all the cattle mutilations. Okay, a lot of people know. There's a lot of people who haven't actually seen a UFO, who actually believe in this too. The late Stanton Friedman, as far as I know, he never really had any kind of major sighting of anything, but he was convinced of it by all the data and all the information that he gathered over time. I mean, all the other the explanations for weather phenomena and all psychosis and all that's absurd. But I challenge the mainstream media. How about doing your job? How about doing your job? This is the biggest story of all time, and you sit there with dumb smirks on your face, and there's so many people out there, when they see you doing this, you look so stupid. You look so smug and dumb. Get your act together. Whoever's in charge should be fired. Whose idea is this? Okay. Who's at the top pulling the strings for you guys? Because what it looks like you're just basically writing press releases for the Pentagon. You don't do any actual investigative reporting into this. There's been other people, like I mentioned before, like Thomas Carey and Donald Schmidt, who basically 30 years apiece they spent each investigating Roswell. They spoke with hundreds of firsthand and secondhand witnesses, and they have it all laid out in their books. Okay, and the most recent one, which I mentioned. And then there's a historical documentation of how the government handled UFOs from the early 1940s all the way to 1991, contained in the 2 volumes of UFOs and the National Security State by Richard M. Dolan. Your work's almost done for you. Look at those books. Look at the reports. And if there's something in the book that you don't believe, hey, go check out the actual document yourself. Okay? You got to come. There's only one conclusion here. It's not some swamp gas. It's not nonsense like some of these astrophysicists try to say. Well, it could be air inversions, atmospheric inversions that people. No. That doesn't explain the abductions and the cattle mutilations and the physical evidence that's been left over hundreds, tens of thousands of sites throughout the world where these things landed and left trace evidence. Okay, there's a lot of documentation out there, but yet there's just the mainstream media just continues to, for the most part. There might be a couple people here and there just dotted in there here and there, right? But for the most part, the mainstream media, right, as a whole, treat this as a joke. Can they continue to treat it as a joke? They continue. I mean, it's unbelievable that the New York Times and CNN, right? These art the story comes out that they get the Pentagon uh, report that's supposed to come out this month. I guess they get a heads up on some of the stuff that's going to be in it, and they say, well, even though they're told that you know the extraterrestrials, we can't rule extraterrestrials out. They go with the headline, "There's no proof that it's aliens." No proof, nothing to worry about. But then later on, like deeper in the articles as you read them, hey, but it's like almost like a secret. Hey, but they're not ruling out the ET explanation either. They're not going to rule that out, So, but we're not. Even though that should have been the headline, we're going to bury it down 3 paragraphs or so. Okay, you know, like why would you do that? I was a newspaper reporter for 13 years. I worked at different newspapers all over the country. Okay. 14 years total, all together as a newspaper reporter, various newspapers. That's you don't do that. That's you buried the lead. You buried the lead. How could you say there's no evidence that it's extraterrestrials? How could that be your lead when the obvious lead is you can't rule it out? You can't rule it out. Okay, now some people, there might be some publications here and there that might have went with that lead, but a lot of the big ones, New York Times actually changed the headline. They changed their original headline, which did say something like that, and then they changed it later on. Why? Like, were they told to do that? Is this all part of this conspiracy to keep this thing covered up? Are you part of that too? Like, are you carrying the water for the Pentagon on this one? Like, who's giving you your orders? Who at the top is making these dumb decisions? Because that's stupid. I mean, it's a stupid. I just it's just like you're playing along with this game. Like, why does this have to be kept secret still? Okay, after 70 some years and all the sightings, the thousands upon thousands of sightings in this country and other countries all across the world over all this time, all the different events, all the people who've claimed to be abducted by aliens, and some people that were abducted right in front of other people. Travis Walton, there was 6 other guys there that saw him get abducted in the 70s. 6 other people. He was gone for almost a week. And it was aliens. Betty and Barney Hill. I mean, that's just the cases, the famous ones. There's a bunch of cases that people don't even know about. Most people don't want to talk. Who would want to talk about this? Most people don't want to have this stuff public. Why would anybody want to make that public the way government and the media has stigmatized the whole thing? With the idiots sitting on screen, after they talk about this with their tongue in their cheek and a stupid smirk on their face, and then everybody in the whole world after time over, they are conditioned to think it's a big joke. It's not a joke. And then you have people like, Jeremy Corbell, who's out there right now doing the right thing. He's trying to get the word out there. He's a serious guy. Luis Elizondo, right? Serious guy. There's people out there that think it's time to remove the lid. They're trying to do it, but you guys are like fighting back against it. You bring them on TV, and then all of a sudden the story starts to change a little bit. You bring them on TV because they're making a big stink about it, and then you bring them on TV, interview these people, right? And then as the weeks go on, they start, okay, we're gonna change the story a little bit now. We're gonna say, yeah, there's no evidence that it's aliens, but we're not gonna rule it out either later on, of course. But it's a story. Put it this way: there's a, if whatever the government's trying to do right now, it seemed to me, I felt it looked like that they might be trying to just slowly remove the lid, so to get people used to this idea for some reason. I don't know why, maybe they have good reason to. I can't imagine. I think you need to pull the Band-Aid right off. I mean, there's been information on this subject. There's no question in my mind. No question. Bob Lazar wasn't lying. He's not a liar. Bob Lazar's told the truth. There was no reason for him to lie. He didn't make any money off of telling this story. And his story makes absolute sense. He was telling the truth. He was working on these things for the government. Right? He was working on them. But you guys just there's only some reporters over the years who've had the guts to try to get to the bottom of this. But the mainstream media, with all the power of the New York Times and CNN and Fox News and ABC News and CBS News and NBC and MSNBC and all these big news organizations, the Washington Post, right? all this power, and you just can't get to the bottom of it. You just never seriously investigated who's preventing you from doing this. Why don't you try? Why haven't you ever tried hard enough? And why was so many of you people out there continue to treat this as a joke, continue to continue with the stigmatization of the whole matter? It's just so sick. It's so sick. I challenge you to investigate this seriously. Don't let this thing don't just wait till the government report comes out. And when it comes out and they say, once everybody sees it, and it's like, right? When it sees it, and then there's not enough there. Don't just sit back and forget about it for 10 years again. Okay, how about no, we're not going to say. How about for once in your life, for once in the last 75 years or whatever it's been, how about for once in those 75 years, you say, you know what, we're not going to stop. This time we're going to keep going forward. We don't know. This isn't enough. There's too much other information out here. We want to know the truth. The mainstream media, all you need to get on the same page with this. Okay, get on the same page and say, no, we won't stand for this. We want the truth. We want the truth, and we want it now. You send out the best investigative reporters you have. You start, find out who's covering this up in the Pentagon and why has it been covered up for so long. Those questions need to be answered, because they know. They know. There's people there who know. Okay, they know, and you guys keep making a joke out of it when it's not a joke. You just don't have the guts. You don't have the guts like some of these other people I've talked about. Okay, Richard Dolan, he has guts to write those kind of books. Okay, Thomas Carey and Donald Schmidt, those guys have guts. No, the late Jim Mars, he had guts. Okay, there's people out there. Stanton Friedman, he had guts. Okay. There's a lot of people out there who have guts, and you guys don't. You just play along. You play along. You write press releases. That's what you're doing. Your stories are press releases. You're a joke. That's what you are. A total, absolute joke.